Astrocartography is a form of locational astrology. It's essentially when your birth chart is mapped against a world map to find out which planets on Earth resonate most with you according to how they're interacting with each other in your chart. In a horoscope, the most active planets are the ones on or near the angles, and those are AC, IC, DC, and MC. So AC would be the first house. The first house is all about yourself, your personality, your body, and how other people sort of take you at face value when they first meet you. Your IC is your fourth house. That's essentially the things that you call home, your home life. Also, your emotional world and sort of how you feel internally when you come back to yourself. It's the thing that grounds you, the thing that brings you back to home. The IC is all about your emotional life and your home and how you feel and your internal needs. The DC is essentially the seventh house. The seventh house is all about other people, and it deals with how other people are reacting to you in your own personal life. So I know in traditional astrology, the seventh house it represents marriage, but in astrocartography, the DC or the descendant, the seventh house line, yes, it deals with romantic partnerships, but it's also other people and how they're interacting with you in the world. So on an astrocartography map, the DC would be sort of how like other people are interacting with you and sort of how other people are treating you in this place. Like, for example, if you're on a Venus DC line, people are going to be very supportive, very beautiful. They're going to love you. They're going to enjoy you. It's sort of like the celebrity effect, similar to a sun line, but more romanticized. People fall in love with who you are, and you just find more harmonious people on a Venus DC line. Anyways, the other line is the MC line. So the MC line, or MC, translates to the 10th house. The 10th house is all about public image, reputation, career, money, building and making a name for yourself in the world and making yourself, more known and making yourself more seen in the world. It's literally just career, reputation, money, fame. That is what MC lines are for. And depending on the type of planet that governs the MC line, you'll get a different variation of a career, reputation, and money. So essentially with astrocartography, it basically takes your birth chart and lays it over a map using mathematical techniques, and I'll get into that later, but it uses a lot of scientific and mathematical type equations and things like that. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm stuttering. But it basically uses this software and takes your birth chart and lays it over the map, and it shows where each planet gets maximum angularity. And remember, angularity are the houses that I talked about. And so wherever you are in the world, a certain planet is activating that area. And if you move, you'll find that you have a completely different experience. So where did this practice even come from, and who exactly invented astrocartography? So Jem Lewis was actually the man who invented astrocartography, but locational astrology was a thing way before astrocartography. The idea of astrocartography had always existed. It's just no one had then created the system that puts this into motion to where you can see it and where you can interpret it exactly. Astrocartography in itself was actually developed in the 1970s. And I believe he got a patent on it in 1980, and it was approved in 1981. Jem Lewis actually spent a good chunk of his early life on a commune, and that was on his Venus ascendant line. And the ascendant line is sort of like the angle that represents yourself, the first house. And so On a Venus line, life seems more beautiful because it's responding to you in a more beneficious way, a more auspicious way, because Venus blesses whatever it touches. And in this case, it blesses your personality and your appearance and your self-esteem and who you are as a person. So when most people visit Venus AC lines, they tend to stay there for a while because it sort of puts a beauty filter on life itself. And it's very also easy to romanticize life here and sort of just love it in general. And it creates a laziness effect, but also a genuine appreciation for life itself because of how it's responding to you and how it's sort of blessing your appearance and your personality. So as Jim Lewis was sort of developing astrocartography, the idea and concept of it not only follows astrology, but it also follows the tradition of Ptolemy and the Chaldeans. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but as I digress. But anyways, Jim Lewis was a scientific astrologer is what I'm trying to say. I'll actually provide links below that explains it more in depth, his practice and how he sort of developed the concept of it. But I looked into it and it was very profound and I really liked it. He even used some of the psychology of Carl Jung, which is very interesting as well. But anyways, astrology in itself is just pattern recognition and math. And with astrocartography, it follows the sun rising, setting, graphs, and combined with ancient practice. And so it sort of just becomes this plethora of math and pattern recognition based upon the sciences of the universe. And that's what makes it so accurate and so cool. But with every great story, there is an end, and not every story ends well. So unfortunately, Jim Lewis did die on his Mars ascendant line. And he died in a car Mars crash. Is the planet of aggression, action, danger, blood. Things that are very violent, action, just not entirely terrible, but it rules over things like danger, accidents, fighting. Mars is literally the planet of war and aggression and fighting. And so when you're on an AC line, all of Mars's benefics and malefics translates onto your body. So this means on a Mars ascendant line, you are more prone to car accidents in general, people hurting you, people being negative towards you, or on a brighter side, depending on your birth chart, you could be more action oriented, like very into health, very into fitness. You could get ripped here. You can become very confident here, but on every good side of the coin, there's a bad side of the coin. And unfortunately with Mars, you have to be very careful on those Mars lines because you can get seriously hurt while you're there. I also think it's worth it to mention that he was in between two of the worst lines you could ever be in between. So on the right, you'll see that he's very close to his Mars line. And people in the astrology community, astrologers, they always warn people, if you're near a malefic line like that, you should never be directly on the line. Because the closer you are to the line, the stronger the energy is felt, and the stronger you will actually experience that type of energy. So he was pretty close to his Mars line, his Mars AC line. And on the left, he was actually near his Saturn IC line. So IC, again, deals with mental health and how you feel when you go to a place, and also your home and what grounds you. And while Saturn does get good and it does get better with time, you should never just up and visit a Saturn IC line because you have to be prepared for that type of energy to into your life. So Saturn deals with limitation, struggle, setbacks, delays. It's very hard on the bones, on the teeth, on the mental health. And when you have Saturn on your IC, you have this sort of energy clouding your mind and also governing the place where you call home. So that means your mind, your mental health, and home, your living space, the thing that grounds you. You're experiencing setbacks, delays, things are hard. It's very difficult energy. And he was coming from a Venus line where he spent a good chunk of his life there, and moving or visiting between a Mars AC line and a Saturn IC line. That is a completely different type of energy. And honestly, the average person cannot handle that. You just have to prepare for those types of things. However, he was on a North Node line. It'll say the moon's nodes line, so that means North Node. I'll show on the screen. So, North Node lines can be dangerous because it signifies fated events. But if you feel pulled to one, always just pull up your chart and see what you'll be experiencing there. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. He got into a car crash on his Mars AC line with a bunch of malefics surrounding him, and he got a brain tumor and he basically died just like that. So astrocartography can be very literal, and the planets are very serious. The energy is very serious. And I always say there's a reason why you feel a certain way when you visit a place. I can see the appeal because he had like a Jupiter IC line sandwiched right in the middle of those two malefic lines, and it's a Jupiter IC line. And so Jupiter IC is good for mental health. You literally feel at home in that place. But that was literally only in Melbourne. It's like the second you leave Melbourne, it's like chaos again. And plus he had that Chiron moon line. And Chiron is the wounded healer. And honestly, Chiron is like a mixture of Saturn and Pluto. And I'll get into these lines in another video, but this is just an intro to what these lines are and how they affected certain people in history and how they'll essentially affect you. But yeah, basically being surrounded by all of those malefic lines, it's just this huge cocktail of chaos. And with the North Node line there, it's just fated events, things that are bound to happen, things that are quick in the blink of an eye. And he just got in a car crash, got a tumor, died, and was gone in his 50s, basically. So he didn't even get to live a full life. But something positive is that if you look up his biography online, it says that he died a rich man. And so that was a good thing, at least. He died wealthy and he died accomplished in doing something that he loved. And he died with support. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is just the first video of my astrocartography series. In my next series, I'm going to be talking about career lines, sun lines, the best places you can be in the world, and how stars really rose to fame without even knowing it by basically analyzing their astrocartography charts. I'm going to be looking over Billie Eilish and Ariana Grande. Also, if you're interested in getting a birth chart reading or an astrocartography reading or a midheaven reading, branding analysis, anything sort of that correlates to that, I just opened my readings again, and for each slot or for each listing, there's only going to be 25 slots available. So if you want a birth chart reading, an astrocartography reading, or anything like that, there are only 25 slots available for each reading. And so if you're hearing this now, go ahead and go there, because once it's sold out, I probably won't accept readings again until maybe fall or winter of this year or next year. However, I do have an astrocartography ebook and several astrocartography ebooks about all the different lines, and if you want to go more in depth, you can purchase those ebooks on my website, and I do talk about it there if you'd like to just read up about it. And again, thank you so much for watching my video and supporting me. I appreciate you so much. Leave a comment down below of what you think and how this sort of relates to you, and I'll be happy to respond. But yeah, see you next time.